Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and today we're going to take a look at the vintage Starbird Space Avenger released by MB Games back in 1981. Now this is a toy I've been wanting for absolutely years, and in fact I've wanted it since it came out in 1981, and I've only just managed to pick up myself one, and here it is. Now this is the second version of the Starbird. The first version was released in 1979. It didn't have some of the features that came in this second edition. And it was actually the second edition I wanted because it just has a few more things going for it. So first up, let's take a look at the box and see what we get. So in front of me here you can see this is the front of the box where it says Starbird Space Avenger, and it says that this thing has an alien target that you can use the pistol grip action to blast the alien target, see flashing photon light and hear the victory signals when you are on target, and you can do the same by firing at other Space Avengers. But the main thing with this ship is the fact that it makes noises as you tilt the ship up and down. It will make engine noises that go up and down, and that is the thing that I really wanted to hear and play with as a child, and not just because the lasers went pow pow. Now let's turn this box around and take a look at the back, because you can see the other ship that you could have got in this line of toys. So on the back you can see it shows you the other ship, which is the Starbird Space Intruder, which is a black version of really just the sort of the front chunk of the ship with some extra wings on it. But it shows you in more detail what comes with the main Starbird ship. So you can see here that if you tilt the ship up and down you get different engine noises. It comes with a target, comes with these little sort of detachable interceptors on the wings. It comes with a rotating gun, which it says it can also be taken off and becomes an escape pod when you can whir through space or use as a landing capsule, and also you can change the front section of the ship into a small sort of orbiter type thing. So really this toy was the be all and end all of toys back in the late 70s and early 80s. I remember kids at school having it, and I was so jealous that they had them, and I always wanted one, and unfortunately they cost quite a bit of money, so I never did get one. So now I'm in my 40s, I finally picked up one. Let's take a look inside the box and have a play with the toy. So I'll take the lid off this box. The box is a little bit battered, but that doesn't really matter because it was what's inside that I really wanted. So if we take the lid off, you can see inside we have the Starbird in all its glory. This is the main part of the ship without anything attached to it. It's obviously got a little thing to go there, and it also has the engine block, which is this piece here. If I just pull this out, this piece clips into the back section. And there you have the engine added, and in this little panel over here we have the target, which is a little bit on the battered side, but I might restore that in a future video, and then a bag full of bits. So I'm going to put this ship together and we'll look at it in greater detail. And here it is in all its glory. Now I haven't held one of these ships since I played with a friend's when I was in school, so that would have been in the early 80s, so it's been about 35 years since I've played with one, and it still is as amazing as I remember it at that time. It's a very sturdy ship. You can sort of hold this bit in the section, and that's the bit you sort of use to zoom the spaceship around when you were playing with it. It comes with these detachable wing sections here. These are sort of little interceptor spaceships which clip in place, and as I said earlier on, it has this sort of little rotating gun turret here. And now this little gun is the piece that is generally missing if you look for these ships, because it is just so tiny, and as you can see, something that is very easily lost, and most of the time these are missing. But I was lucky to pick this one up. It still had the little gun in place, and you can see that rotates around. Now obviously the main feature is the engine noise. So I put a battery in this. If we turn this over, you can see there's a switch on the bottom, and when I switch this on the engine will sound, and as I tilt the ship up the noise will change, and as I tilt the ship down the noise will change to a sort of a deeper growl. So let's give that a go. Now that is a pretty cool feature, and that's the thing that every child wanted to have back in the 80s. It's just such a cool sort of idea. I don't think I've ever seen a toy that did that sort of thing, the way that it changes with you playing with it. Now I've seen modern toys do this all the time. I think one of the more modern Millennium Falcons does it, but back in the 80s this was the first ship to do it. It also has lasers on the front. If I turn this around, you can see there are some lasers. Now the very early version of this ship didn't have this little infrared light on either side. It just had the sort of lasers that lit up. The second version, which came out in 1981, which has all of these sort of extra decals on it, has the infrared feature, which means that you can fire at other ships or fire at the target, and if it gets a reflection it makes a different noise. So let's give that a try. So that's the laser noise, and if I fire it at the wall we should get a whoop whoop, which shows that I've managed to hit my target. Now the noises do actually get a little bit annoying. As a child I thought they were great, but now I'm an adult it starts to get on my nerves a bit because it is really loud and there's no sort of volume control, but it's still an absolutely amazing feature. The other cool thing about this toy was that you could take it apart and sort of combine it into different pieces. So if we pull off this front section, you can see this front section could be played with as a ship. If you take off the engine from the back, this would clip on to this front section. So you have a little sort of escape crossing that you can then also sort of use that as a handle, and also the inner section of this front part pulls out, so you could have a sort of a smaller escape craft. And this is the bit that houses all the electronics. These other pieces are just sort of empty plastic shells. Now let's take a closer look around all of the ship. As you can see, it's a very nice design. I think the design of the ship is just particularly sort of 80s looking. It looks like spaceships you would imagine to see, and it has a sort of bit that's reminiscent of some Star Wars ships, maybe a bit like a Y-wing or something like that. Especially this front section looks a little bit like a Y-wing. It's very sturdily made. Apart from this little gun bit, which is so easily lost, everything else is pretty well held on. It all sort of fits together quite nicely, and there's a lot of sculpting, and the addition of these extra decals in this second version really make it sort of look super sort of space-like and very sort of dynamic. The original version didn't have those sort of red stripes. It was just a sort of white and grey ship, so I think adding those really gave it something extra. And if we turn it over, you can see there's quite a lot of detail on the bottom as well, little engine bits and sort of extra ports and that. And obviously this is where the speaker is, and it is incredibly loud, so it's quite remarkable for something at this age that everything still works as well. I didn't have to do anything to get this working. I've given it a bit of a clean, but otherwise everything works straight out of the box. And I think if you took a toy from now 40 years into the future, it probably wouldn't work, whereas this just does. The toy also came with this sort of cardboard target, which is what you're supposed to fire the infrared thing at. But as I showed you, the infrared actually works just pointing at any sort of wall or surface. Now, as you can see, this was a fairly simple piece of cardboard that's just folded together. This one has seen better days, so it might be at some point I'm going to take this all apart and scan it in and see if I can sort of rebuild this. Or maybe someone's got one already that isn't quite in this sort of damaged state, and they could scan it in for me, and I'll make one that's sort of brand new. Because it looks like this has certainly seen a lot of wear and has been taped together, but for the moment it does do the job. If I sort of clip that back and put that there, I'll switch the Starbird on and we can see again if we can fire at it and see if it makes a noise. So I'm going to pull the Starbird back here. Let's see if it works. There you go, that's the targeting hit. So if I move it away and fire it, that's not hitting anything. And here, it's hit the target. I'll turn that off again. As I say, it is pretty loud. So that's my review of the vintage MB Electronics Starbird Space Avenger. Now, I've waited a very long time to get one of these in my collection, and it was worth it. Sometimes waiting a long time, the toy just gets better and better, and I have to say this one still is as good as I remember playing with it as a child. And now that I've got this in my collection, I think I will play with it some more. The noises are lovely but loud, and they're starting to annoy Mrs. Toy-polloi in this house. I can tell because it's just a sort of grating sound, but that doesn't matter because it is a wonderful toy. Now, I want to say a big thank you to Vintage 72 Toys on Facebook who sold me this. It was something that they listed on their site and I grabbed it as soon as I could, so I'll put a link in the description to their Facebook page. Go and check them out. They have a lot of good vintage toys for sale, and I hope this video has been of interest, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Should work if I just fire it at the wall. It will make a firing noise, and if it reflects back the infrared, it will make a sort of whoop whoop noise. So let's give that a go. So there you go, that's the whoop whoop.